Orlovsky apparently did pick the Rams on Get Up. Not in that soundbite we just heard. He didn't say, I'm picking the Rams. He just went on and on. So people are saying, you owe Orlovsky an apology. He did pick the Rams. All right, he picked the Rams. But here's why I don't trust any of these weasels, even though they did play professional football. Because when you see Chase Daniels' analysis, and then you go, well, he says, well, Hurts missed, there were guys open, and he didn't hit him. Orlovsky said the opposite. When he analyzed that tape, he showed tape saying, all these guys are covered. So it was really not Hurts' fault. It was the scheme's fault. So how do you trust any of these guys?
I think very easily Orlovsky's rooting for another Orlovsky Bowl. He wants Stafford against the Lions. He got it last year in the postseason, and there was a whole thing, who's he going to root for? Who's he going to root for? He wants another Orlovsky Bowl. And for Chase Daniel, I think it's pretty simple to say that he gets frustrated by quarterbacks he feels like were put in better situations than him, and he thinks probably in the back of his mind that he could have been successful in this offense.
So you're saying it's all about personal agenda.
I think
when these guys analyze, the people that are supposed to analyze the X and O's of football, they resort to personal agenda.
Yeah, a little bit. To the way it comes with Daniel, he has been so emphatically anti-Jalen Hurts that I think there has to be something in there. For Orlovsky, I honestly think this weekend, like him taking the Rams, has a lot to do with the Rams quarterback. I think he has this undying love for Matt Stafford. And, hey, if you're boys with the guy, all right, you know what? That you believe that he's going to come into Philadelphia and win in the snow against the Birds. If you really think that's going to happen because you're believing him, because you were teammates with him for 3 years, you know what his deal is, hey, man, more power to you. I don't believe that. I don't believe that they're going to do that. But I do believe that there is a little bit of Orlovsky Bowl in Orlovsky's picks. I'm sure he's got the Lions by multiple touchdowns.
Okay. And let me get to another weasel as we go into our 11 o'clock hour. And we'll get through the calls, and we got more texts. Sirianni's coming up in the 11 o'clock hour as well. How about this weasel, Jared Verse? Yeah. All right. Now, Jared Verse, he's an edge rusher. He's had a good year. Number one pick out of Florida State. Grew up in Pennsylvania. In fact, he grew up in, Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. And he went to Central Columbia High School. Now, Central Columbia, by the way, right, in case you're interested, was one of the teams my high school basketball team disposed of en route to a state title game. They were one of the stops that we had to get through. We beat them at the Palestra.
Ooh. All right.
Yeah. So anyway, he went to Central Columbia High School in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. He was a tight end. He wasn't recruited. He went to Albany College.
Right.
And then he also, I like these kind of stories because he goes to Albany College and nobody. He beefs up. He increases his speed. He hits the weights, whatever. And then he goes to Florida State and he becomes the number one draft pick. But he hates Philadelphia, he said. I hate Eagles fans. They're so annoying. I hate Eagles fans. So when he grew up, he said, I always hated them. When I see that green and white, I hate it. I actually get upset. Like I actually genuinely get hot. You know what I love about young guys like that? They have no idea what they're talking about. They get with an L.A. reporter and they go, let me see if I can macho it up here. And they say stuff not thinking that they're in Philadelphia. They're in L.A. They're in the safety of the warmth of L.A., right? So they say these outlandish things. And when they get off the bus, they go, oh, man, why'd I do that? And he's going to get destroyed the whole game.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty dumb. Like, you have enough to deal with. All right, you're going to deal with the Eagles' offensive line. That should be primary focus number one, not what Steve from Delco is screaming from Section 215. Like, let's think a little bit about what's going on. I understand out in L.A. all is happy. If I was an L.A. sports talker and I saw this, I would be livid. You're thinking about Eagles fans right now? Mm-hmm. How about that offensive line that's just filled with incredible players? How about you focus on that one? But, hey, if you do hate Eagles fans, don't worry. You're going to hate them even more by the end of this weekend.
This is the phenomenon of Pennsylvania, by the way. People who live in those rural areas of Pennsylvania are threatened by Philadelphia because they know it's too modern for them. Like, they like to keep their life really simple. They like to have the pot-belly stove and not we get it replaced by, central heat, right, with a heat pump, a modern. They look at Philadelphia like it's a threat. You grow up in that environment, it's like Philadelphia bad. right? So, and it's not that far from Philadelphia. Bloomsburg's not that far from Philadelphia.
I just don't understand why him specifically, a guy who's playing out in L.A. now professionally, is so threatened by it. If modern society is so
because
threatening.
it was ingrained in him living in rural Pennsylvania. You ask anybody in rural Pennsylvania, they feel threatened by Philadelphia. The outskirts of Allentown, Lehigh Valley, Philadelphia is a threat to them. Pittsburgh is safer for them.
Well,
That's why
Pittsburgh's
they
a
become more Steeler fans in that area, even though they're closer to Philadelphia, because Pittsburgh's less of a threat. Pittsburgh, they look at as a city that's more like them.
I'm just curious why he has the disdain for the fans. You can, all right, whatever. You feel threatened by the city. Why the fans? What did the fans ever do? Did little Charlie, your friend in second grade?
Because the fans are merely products of the environment that threatens them.
I guess. It's just odd.
All right. You're listening to Mike Missanelli Show, and you're listening to it on WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia. Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. All right, let's get to the calls. Our first call today, we're going to go to Delco. Dave and Delco checking in. What's up, Dave?
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
How you doing,
I
buddy?
just want to make a point about how a lot of these national guys are disappointed in our pass game and think how it could lead to, our demise in the future playoffs. I couldn't disagree with that more. I think that we're just bought into a conservative style of football, and that's what's won us games all season long.
No, you're absolutely right. But and it's not going to apply in this game, all right? Because the notion is if you get behind, then you got to pass to catch up, which to a large extent is true, right? And the only way that applies for me is if they play the Lions in Detroit. Like, they could possibly get behind by a couple touchdowns against the Lions.
Yeah,
but not in this game. Not like, how are the Rams going to be that far ahead of the Eagles where they have to desperately pass the ball?
Yeah, no, definitely not, and certainly not in the snow. Like, a snow game is designed for, or the Eagles are designed for a snow game. Great running attack and best defense in football.
Exactly. Exactly. Although the other side of that is this. You've got possession receivers on the other side for the Rams. Possession receivers run pristine routes, and they know exactly where they're going, and defensive backs don't really. And so it's more of a detriment for a defensive back in slippery conditions than it is for a receiver.
Yeah, the Rams are certainly talented and can move the ball. So I'll give them credit for that, but I do have a lot of confidence in our defense.
Yeah, why wouldn't you have confidence in defense? The number one rated defense in the league, right?
If there was time to have confidence in defense.
That's what I'm saying. Like, for a team like the Rams, the Lions are semi-explosive. Well, no, they're a lot explosive. They can score. They can get you to 40 points. This team can't. I mean, this team does not have explosive receivers that are going to bust you for 70-yard touchdown.
Everyone's going to point to that game against the Bills and say, well, they put up 44 against the Bills. Against the Bills' defense that is nothing like this Eagles defense. And in the 3 games that followed that game against the Bills, they put up 44 points combined against the Niners, the Jets, and the Cardinals. You tell me what's more indicative of what this team is. Their best game of the season or their entire season?
Yeah, it's all the Rams. They max out to me at 17 points in this game.
I think I have them at 20, but yeah.
That's somewhere in there. They're not.
That's probably too much respect on my end.
It is. They would have to get close to 30 against this defense, which to me is not going to happen. It's impossible, in fact. All right, let's go to Charlie in Westchester. Charlie, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Charlie.
Hey, Mike.
Hey,
Thanks
Charlie.
for having me on.
What's happening?
Welcome back, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Hey, real quick. First of all, you and I are cousin-in-laws. We share the same uncle. My dad and Chief Vince, God rest his soul, were brothers.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
You're a Farragalli?
I'm a Farragalli.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's we're talking about my true crime podcast where my relative Vince Farragalli was the chief of police when that murder happened in 1962.
Right.
Yes.
Crazy, yeah. So, hey, listen, the reason I'm calling is not to beat the dead horse anymore, but I thought it's relevant to bring up Terry Bradshaw's career and the way he won football games. based on an amazing running game and a phenomenal defense. And the guy, from a number standpoint, had a 51.9% completion percentage career, threw 212 touchdowns, 210 interceptions, and threw for over 300 yards 7 times in his 14-year career. And if you look at those numbers, I don't think people are going to say, put that guy in the Hall of Fame.
No, we were talking about this a few weeks ago. He doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, really. Yes.
Numbers-wise. But you're right. That's the Jalen Hurts comparison. I guess he did have explosive touchdown-like receivers. He could throw it a long way, and he did score with Lynn Swann and John Stallworth and those guys.
Yeah, I mean, he had Hall of Fame receivers, and winning is a results driven business, I think. And although personally, I think we all can say it's really exciting to watch the ball in the air and watch a passing attack. That to me is really exciting to watch. Mm-hmm. That said, I'll sacrifice a little of my personal enjoyment for W's any day of the week.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I actually love when a team can win defensively. I love defense. I love when you. It's amazing to me that you can stop high-powered athletes with a great scheme and a great defense and a pass rush and all that stuff. I love low-scoring games.
I got no problem with it either. We haven't had a defense like this in a long, long time, and it is an element that is welcome change. I mean, if we had half of this defense in 2022, we'd have 2 rings and not 1.
I got you, brother.
Well, it was really good talking.
All right, Charlie. There you go. Terry Bradshaw, he brought up. Talked about him before.
We did. We've had that conversation.
He had 2 more touchdowns and interceptions in his career and got into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, it's absurd.
Because the team would just won Super Bowl. So how could you ignore the quarterback?
Yeah. I mean, I think the more recent example that we've brought up probably fits a little bit more with this day and age. But yeah, I'm right there with you in the idea.
Yeah. All right. I got to be honest with folks. I need you to try. I'm too cocky about this game. I really am. Normally I'll get, you know what, that could. I don't have any of that for this game. 610-632-0975. Sirianni at 1140. Mike Missanelli Show continues.
Hey, everybody. It's Bill Colarulo. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you can engage during the show, and you're not going to want to miss all the content that we post. It's not only the live videos. It's videos after the fact. It's our shorts. It's all the content you want as a Philadelphia sports